Welcome to another episode of the $1 Million Website Podcast, the private podcast for $1 Million Website partners, where we teach you how to build it once, sell it forever, and then scale to six figures and beyond. What I want to share with you today, it's something that I haven't thought about for a while, but one of our partners, we were chatting about this, and it brought it back. And it was how I entered new markets. So when I started something new, I kind of ran this play and it worked really well. And then I just didn't do it for, 15 years or so. But then it just came back to mind. And so I wanted to share it in this short podcast. So a little backstory. Years ago, long time ago, I started a new blog, and I believe this was for a brand called Six Figure Expert. So sixfigureexpert.com, new website, and I was just kind of coming into that space. And so what I did was I came up with the one-word interview. And so I don't have the post anymore, so I'm trying to think back. I have the concept, though. I can share that with you. But the post, I believe, was, if you're getting started in online business, what is the one word that stands above all others as the key to success? Not a great question, I'll admit, right? It's kind of just cheap and shallow. But at that time, I was in my early 20s, so I was giving it a shot. But what I did then was I went to people in online business who didn't know me. I was a complete unknown. And then I said what I'm doing. And here's what I did. I wanted to put together a blog post of the leading voices in online business. And then I went to a range of people. I think I reached out to 25 people who were big at that time. Some of them still are big. Pat Flynn, Chris Gillibo, Seth Godin. Lots of names. Gary Vaynerchuk. And so it was a very simple message. I'm putting together a blog post to feature the top voices in online business. What I'm doing is having them answer one question with one word. Let me know if you'd like to take part, right? Super easy lift for them, right? Didn't take a lot of time, didn't take a lot of energy. I'll go through this in a little bit, but why it worked, right? Ego, like they wanted to be one of the top voices. And I believe I got 100% take, like 100% of the people wanted in. Because it didn't matter that I was just getting started. It didn't matter it was super small. They just loved the idea of giving back, of sharing their wisdom, of being featured as a top voice without having to do a lot of work. And what this did for me, so I put together this blog post. I sent these emails out. I got responses pretty quickly. And then I put together this website or this blog post, and it listed all the people. It gave background on them, where you could reach out and learn more about them, and then their answer to the question. Now, the other thing it did, it gave me a really juicy piece of content. So 25 people give the one-word answer to this question. That's compelling. That's people want to know. So it did really well. The audience loved it. It helped grow my audience. It helped establish relationships with all these people who I'd never spoken to before. But now, that was that first link, right? That first thread of connection. Now they knew who I was. And then I developed relationships with some of them over time. So it's just such an easy way for you to get started in a new market. Okay, so what I recommend now, so this is that's the backstory, right? I would ask, and we're not going to talk about asking the A players, right? You could, but you don't want to talk to the people who have 15 people between you and them, right? So you might want to go for kind of mid-level or even small, because the idea is just to form connections. Or back then, I was looking for brands, but in this case, it could simply be your market. So if you work with authors, just bring this to authors. You work with speakers, just bring this to speakers. So the idea is today, the way I would modernize it, I wouldn't do a blog post. You could. But what I think I would do is a special report. So an industry report. And it could be a PDF downloadable that you're going to make, right? So here's why it works, right? The key to success is in making this report, and we're going to bring in outside voices, it can't be bait and switch. You can't make it there is a benefit, a tangent benefit, right? A side effect, which is it may bring in business for you. But you can't lead with that. Even though this is a marketing strategy, your heart has to be in the right place. Otherwise, people can sense it. So there's no bait and switch. It has to be a real report that you want to put together. You want to make real connections. You really want to hear from these people and what they have to say, right? The idea isn't, okay, I'm going to just put together this cheap thing just because I want people to respond to my email, and then I'm going to pitch them on building websites. That is not the idea. The idea here is, all right, I'm brand new to this market. One of the best ways in is to put together an industry report, ask people questions, feature those questions in a guide that you can then give away, and you give away to them, the people who took part, but also to new visitors. And that report's valuable. Like think about if you work with speakers and you asked 50 speakers, what advice would they give to their younger self about getting started in the speaking space? That is invaluable to someone just getting started. Right? So we're creating real value here. This is not like a bait and switch where we're just throwing together something cheap just to get business. Because people will sense it, it won't work. So the key to success is actually try. Make it real. Make it legitimate. Okay, so why this works. One, it's quick and easy. You're not asking for them to schedule anything. They don't have to put aside a few hours of their day. Often all they have to do is type back an answer. So it's super easy. It's super fast. And it strokes their ego because you are saying you want to feature their voice in this special industry report. So people are driven by status, and so it works. So here's kind of the step-by-step play of how to execute. First, I would decide, of course, format. So what are you going to put together? I do think an industry report at this point would be good. And that report you can share it then in a podcast episode, a YouTube video, a blog post, but I do think having a PDF report would be great. And then decide on the question. So you could ask a series of questions. If I were you, I would at least limit it to 3. I wouldn't ask too many questions. I'd make this very quick and easy. So let's say we do one for coaching. So if I was doing this today, maybe I ask people, what has been the biggest needle mover in your coaching business? What step did you take when launching your coaching business that made the biggest difference? What do you wish you could go back and do differently if you were launching your coaching business today? Right? So those are some of the types of questions. You can think on it. You can use AI to help you come up with a question. But just a question or two that's going to gather wisdom from them. As you can see, these are wisdom questions. What have you learned that you want to share? Then, so you've got your question that you want to ask. Then I would choose a platform. So where do you want to find these people that are going to take part in your research study, as it were? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you decide. Now you could go for all, but to start, to make sure you actually take action, think in your mind, where do your clients live? So if it leans business, well, probably LinkedIn, right? If it leans, say, coaching, could be LinkedIn, could be Instagram. So just think about which platform do you want to find these people who are going to take part? And then you send your outreach message. Now, you could do it through you can go, if they have websites, you can go to their contact form. So that would be kind of find them on LinkedIn, then go to their website, or find them on Instagram. But you could also direct message them from those platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So you're going to send your outreach message. And the outreach, that's kind of hard to say, outreach message. And so what you can say is simply, I'm putting together an industry report on X, whatever your topic is, and would love to feature your voice. And you could even say something, like, I see that you've been working with XYZ, and I really respect that. And I would love to have someone like you take part. But I'm putting together an industry report. Let's say it's for coaches. I'm putting together an industry report on the biggest needle mover for you when you started your coaching business, and I'd love to feature your voice. Now, to take part is super simple. All you have to do is respond back with your reply. Are you interested? And end it with a question, not a statement. You end it with a question, there's an open loop there. They're going to get back to you. You end it with a statement, they can put it off much easier. So let's do it for authors. So I'm putting together an industry report on, let's say, independent authors, on how they got their first book out into the hands of readers. And I would love to feature your voice. Maybe virtual assistants. I'm putting together an industry report on virtual assistants and the one piece of advice they would give to their younger selves as they were starting this business. And I would love to feature your voice in this report. Super simple to take part. All you have to do is share your answer in any way that works for you. Is this something you might be interested in? Now, the other thing you can do is you can tell them that they can also include a little pitch about who they are and what they do and where people can learn more. So this report will have the expert, their answer, and then a little bio. It's another reason for them to say yes, right? Because it's free marketing. So you could do that. And if you do it the right way, this guide itself won't be a pitch fest. It'll just be, here's John Doe, here's his advice, and then here's what he does and where you can learn more. So it's another way for them to say yes, right? Now, as you're doing this, I want you to track your results. How many have you sent? What message did you send? And then what's the response rate? Always track, right? This way you know what's working. You can make little message tweaks. You can see what works better or worse. Then when you get enough responses, you create the report. So the idea is you will send out that outreach message. People respond back saying, yes, I'm interested. You send them the question. They respond back with the answer. Once you collect enough, I'd say 10 to 25 responses, you can create this PDF report. You can use something like Canva, and you can create the industry report with everyone's answers and with everyone's inclusions, their bio. Then send it to every participant. And what you can then do is add it to you can add it to your website, you can add it to your bios. You now have a new resource that you can give away as an opt-in, as a lead generator. So now you've got this PDF, send it to everyone. I want you to, you have to fulfill your obligation, right? You promised them a report and they'd be in it, so send it to them. And then you now have a PDF that you can share everywhere to build your list. But here's the outcome. One, you now have industry connections. So if you work with speakers and you reach out to 50 speakers, a certain percentage will get back to you wanting to take part. You now are in touch with all of these speakers. So, industry connections. Then you've got this great resource to share. Now you got a great report. Most of the content came from someone else, so easy lift for you. And it's really compelling, enticing report that you can give away as a lead generator or a lead magnet. Now, yes, the other outcome is they're going to learn a bit more about you. You can mention what you do, that you build websites for this particular market. But you didn't mention that before because that's not the point. But you can get first paying clients out of this because once they know what you do, they either may say to themselves, wow, I'd love to learn more about that. Or I actually know all these, like I know this person who is looking for a new website or could use a new website. So it gives you connections. It gives you that PDF lead generator. And then it gives you possible referral partners and first paying clients. And that is like a happy side effect of this if you do it well. We don't do it because of that, but it works and it will help you get those clients. So that is the strategy. It's super simple. So if you're going into a new market or a new niche, you can put together an industry report. So you figure out what is the format you want to do. I do recommend that PDF report. Figure out what question. Just ask 1 or 2 questions, 3 at the most, wisdom questions about what advice would you give to your younger self? What was the biggest needle mover? What did you learn that you would love to share with people? Choose your platform where you're going to find these people. Message them with a simple message that says, I'm putting together this report on X, whatever your topic is, and would love to feature your voice. Taking part is super simple. All you have to do is reply back with your response. Is this something you'd be interested in? And then, again, they can include a pitch if they want to. I would like you to send out 100 a week. So send out 100 a week and track your results. And when you get 10 to 25 responses where they answer the question, there's your report. Put it together into a PDF. send it to the participants, and then there you go. You got your connections, you got your report, you got your possible FPCs and referral partners. So I've done this many ways in different ways. I just remembered that one. I did the blog post, but I've used it a lot of times. Whenever I'm new, I just go to the people, mid-level usually, because the top tier, although Seth Godin in the marketing world, he is top tier. It worked somehow, but that was a big one. I remember that. But mid-level, you'll get all these incredible, and you'll learn so much about the space, so much about the industry, because you're going to be hearing from all these experts and all these people who have wisdom about what worked. And now you know that. So that is what I got for you in this episode, a very simple way to get into a market, to make connections, and possibly end with clients. So thank you so much for listening. And in the next episode, I'll bring you more of these. I got to think back. I've been doing this a long time, so I got to just pull all these nuggets. The partners are great because they ask these questions and it just triggers these thoughts. But this is a good one. This brought me back, so it was fun to think about. But yes, in the group, I'd love to hear if you're going to execute this strategy. Tell me all about it. We can jam on the idea. I'd love to hear your results. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.